Tonight, if you live in Iran, you probably want to stay underground.
Today will be, yet again, our most intense day of strikes inside Iran. The most fighters, the most bombers, the most strikes. Intelligence more refined and better than ever.
Now it's wheels up for America's deadliest weapon, the B52 Doomsday bombers, capable of carrying 70,000 pounds of ordnance, including cruise missiles, 30,000-pound bunker busters, and even nuclear weapons. It's the first time the Doomsday has been deployed since the start of the war. This is what the president means when he says, "You ain't seen nothing yet." Iran's missile launches have collapsed by 92%. They went from launching 420 missiles a day last week to averaging just 45. We're knocking them down and blowing up the launch pads. The Iranians are also running out of friends.
Big mistake by the Iranian regime to start targeting its neighbors right away, exposing who they are and what they're all about. Indiscriminate targeting, flailing recklessly at the beginning. I can't say that we anticipated necessarily that's exactly how they would react, but we knew it was a possibility. And I think it was a demonstration of the desperation of that regime then and that regime now, that they still think their pathway out is to try to alienate their Arab partners even more, who've instead decided to come to us.
The mullahs are isolated and their proxies are biting the dust. Israel eliminated Hezbollah's commander in Lebanon. The Houthis have gone dark. And Hamas, so far, has respected the ceasefire. Meanwhile, the performance of the U.S. military, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, puts it like a poet.
Those jets are fully loaded with missiles and bombs, and they are a world-class team combined with the naval aviation and the aviators in those jets. This beautiful symphony of American spirit is the definition of perfectly organized chaos. These are dedicated young people who take the road less traveled to serve their great nation.
We've hit over 5,000 targets in Iran. Their air force is gone, their navy basically underwater. Their arsenal had to be demolished when it did, because in a few years, they would have wrapped these weapons around their nuke program, and it would have been too dangerous and too expensive for us to strike.
The regime's intention was to use this exponentially growing ballistic missile threat to make it virtually impossible to prevent them from obtaining a nuclear weapon. The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable.
Every American president since Carter has known the rogue Iranian regime was hell-bent on death to America. Obama gave them cash if they promised not to nuke up. They took the money, they nuked up and manufactured missiles. Biden told them don't, bribed them too, and they kept enriching and stockpiling missiles. Defanging Iran has been American policy for decades. Finally, Trump took action.
The president also stated from the beginning that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. And it's one thing to say it. It's easy to say. Anybody can say that. I mean, Barack Obama said that. But to do something about it takes courage and resolve. But in that courage and in that resolve, you can also be very scoped in what you're trying to execute to ensure that the sacrifice of Americans, American treasure, American lives, all of those properly meet the objective that you're trying to accomplish.
The president doesn't want a forever war. Iran engaged in forever talks while they waged a forever war on us. But the president says it'll be over very soon. The remnants of the regime are begging Trump to pick up the phone for peace talks. But in public, they're talking tough. One Iranian security official told Trump, quote, "Be careful not to get eliminated yourself." They're also threatening oil exports. They say not one leader is allowed to leave the Strait. But the administration isn't playing games.
If they do anything to stop the flow of oil or goods within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the world's most powerful military 20 times harder than they have been hit thus far.
The Iranians don't have the juice to close the strait, but these threats are scaring the insurers who cover these tankers. CNN, citing anonymous sources, says what's left of the Iranian military is plotting to sink the tankers.
We have some important breaking news, and that is that CNN is learning Iran has begun laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. This is according to two people familiar with the matter.
Raising Cane said don't even think about it and bombed 16 mine-laying boats that hadn't even left the harbor. There it is. As soon as the Iranian Navy leaves shore, they get smoked like a Coke boat in the Caribbean. Today, the market's stabilized, and oil prices closed down about 9% at $86 a barrel, down nearly $40 a barrel from yesterday's highs. The mullahs aren't going to booby-trap the strait and get away with it. 20% of the world's oil flows through there. Oil producers have other options. Shadow tankers are shutting off their radars and just sailing right through. And our allies have a backup plan. The Saudis started sending a lot of their oil north through a pipeline into the Red Sea. The strait was closed for days. It's the biggest oil disruption in history, and Trump got it reopened. On top of that, the president announced we're opening the first new American refinery in 50 years, a $300 billion plant in Brownsville, Texas, and we got India to build it. Iran, getting a little into Baghdad Bob territory, says we've got the Americans right where we want them.
He said at this point in time, Iran is gearing up for a long war. He says at this point in time, he sees no room for diplomacy whatsoever between Iran and the United States. And I found this quite interesting, that Iran is going to be the one that's going to end this war. Iran will define and will determine when this war ends. So clearly the Iranians believe that right now they are entrenched. They say that they've replenished their leadership.
The commander-in-chief slightly disagrees. He says he's in total control, ahead of schedule, and the war will end very soon. We just haven't won it enough. Their leadership's been decapitated. All branches of the military, they've been decimated, and we have full air supremacy. And their economic warfare strategy has been neutralized. And tonight, the Doomsday bombers going to pay the Iranian capital a little visit. But the Democrats say it's a quagmire. We lost.
We've got a math problem here. Regime change didn't happen. The son of the Ayatollah might be worse than the dad. The president said last summer we obliterated the nuclear weapons that they had and the uranium. That wasn't the case because now they're talking about ground operations to remove what's left. So I don't see from a strategic perspective what was accomplished.
It took us 10 years to get bin Laden, 6 years to get Hitler, 2 years to get Milosevic, 9 months for Saddam, 8 months for Gaddafi, and we blew the Ayatollah away in 50 seconds and took out the entire Iranian military in less than a week. And the Democrats say we haven't accomplished much. Former Clinton pollster Mark Penn says this, quote, "The press is a drumbeat of negativity favoring the Iran regime. It's puzzling at this point how any success is buried. The reality is likely the regime is being pummeled on all sides." Operation Epic Fury is accomplishing a mission that's been in the works for almost 50 years. Of course, there have been mistakes. Yes, there have been casualties. And yeah, oil spiked. But Americans shouldn't lie about a war. You can disagree with the war, but not the war effort. It's being exquisitely executed. The commander-in-chiefs kept the Arab alliance together, calmed the markets, reopened the strait, and demolished the world's #1 state sponsor of terror in 9 days.
I don't want to brag, but, you know, they've said this about a lot of things. No other president could do some of the I'm doing.